Eric Adams, dropping out of the mayoral race in New York City. He is the current mayor, as you know. He has been enmeshed in so many corruption scandals, I can no longer keep track. He was indicted, then he was unindicted by the Trump administration in what appeared to be a corrupt quid pro quo. His approval rating was like the lowest in mayoral history in New York City. He was polling incredibly poorly. He didn't even try to win the Democratic primary, just decided he was going to run on these on a separate party line, which is allowed for in New York City. In any case, after much rumor and speculation, he is officially dropping out. Let's take a listen to a little bit of his announcement.
Who would have thought that a kid from South Jamaica, Queens, growing up with learning disabilities could one day become the mayor of the greatest city in the world? Only in America can a story like this be told. It's not always easy to see the impact of good policy in just 3 years. I also know some remain unsure of me after the unfortunate events surrounding my federal case. I was wrongfully charged because I fought for this city. And if I had to do it again, I would fight for New York again. And yet, despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign. The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign.
So he was polling in single digits here. Quite a fall from grace from a man who once hailed as a potential future of the Democratic Party. And now he didn't even try to win the Democratic primary, had to withdraw before Election Day. There had previously been rumors, Saagar, that the Trump administration was trying to get him out of the race. Yep. They want him and Sliwa to drop out of the race. So it's a head-to-head between Zohran and Cuomo, because Cuomo polls the strongest against Zohran, even though even in the head-to-head, Zohran is still beating him. So that's what they were trying to make happen. Apparently, the reporting suggests, I can't remember if I saw this in New York Post or where I saw this, but that the Trump administration was really only willing to offer Adams the Saudi Arabia ambassador job if they were also getting Sliwa out of the race. Since Sliwa was unwilling to get out, then they were not willing to offer him that job, hence why he stayed in longer after there were all these rumors that he was going to take that job. But I guess it just became, it became clear he was going to be absolutely humiliated. He was polling in the single digits.
Sliwa seems to be legit in terms of, he's like, look, I'm lifelong in New York. I just want to run for governor, or I want to run for mayor, and that's what I do. I'm not really interested in anything else, which I kind of like. I respect that.
He
doesn't have national ambitions. He's just like, this is who I am.
This is my thing.
Right. I like it. By the way, breaking news literally just happened. Trump just tweeted about Zohran Mamdani. I'll read it here. Self-proclaimed New York communist Zohran Mamdani, who is running for mayor, will prove to be one of the best things to ever happen to our great Republican Party. He's going to have problems with Washington like no other mayor in the history of our once great city. Remember, he needs money from me as president in order to fulfill all of his fake communist promises. He won't be getting any of it. So what's the point of voting for him? The ideology has failed always for thousands of years. It will fail again. That's guaranteed. Don't know why he thinks that that is helpful in any way, considering that that's like a campaign cut for Zohran to be like, Trump says don't vote for me, so you should. What? Like, it's New York City, bro. The smartest thing you could do is stay the hell out of it, or be like, yeah, actually, Zohran is great, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I read it as an admission of defeat, basically. Because he's like, listen, the pretext of the subtext of that tweet is like, Zohran's going to be mayor, and then think about how extraordinary it is that I know with Trump we just like take these things for granted, but for the president of the United States to be like, I don't like who the voters chose for this city, so I'm just going to cut him off all funds. Like that is insane. Any other president, we would be talking like impeachment. We would be losing our minds about it. And with Trump, it's just like, oh yeah, of course, Trump doesn't like Zohran and voters picked Zohran, so he's just gonna like try to screw over an American city. Crazy, crazy stuff. But, I think the writing is pretty clearly on the wall now. Sliwa doesn't look like he's getting out. Even if he did, Zohran still has a commanding lead over Cuomo, roughly the same lead that he had when he beat him in the primary. And remember, the primary polls underestimated Zohran's support because he remade the electorate. He genuinely brought out a different electorate than had previously been seen in Democratic primaries or in a general election. Way more young people came out to vote. So it's actually possible that they're underestimating him once again. We got a Cuomo reaction to Eric Adams' dropout. We can put up on the screen as well to see how he is responding. He says the choice Eric Adams made today was not an easy one. I believe he's sincere in putting the well-being of New York City ahead of his personal ambition. We face destructive extremist forces that would devastate our city through incompetence or ignorance. It's not too late to stop them. Mayor Adams has much to be proud of in his accomplishments. Only in New York can a child raised in a tenement in Bushwick who once worked as a squeegee boy and a mailroom clerk rise to become mayor. Whatever differences we may have, Eric Adams' story is undeniably one of resilience, a testament to the spirit of the city. I'm sure Cuomo would like to get a, Eric Adams endorsement on his way out the door. Not that it would make that much of a difference, but he was commanding, some single digits of support. He had some base, a small lingering base of support that Cuomo would hope to be able to inherit from him, and I think largely will inherit that base of support. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Zohran's reaction.
What do you think the impact of his dropping out will have on your electoral prospects?
I think it's very much the same race. We have seen over the course of this race, especially in the final weeks and months of the primary, that Andrew Cuomo wanted nothing more than a one-on-one fight with me. And we gave him exactly that, and then we beat him by 13 points. And we continue to be just as confident. And yet what separates us from these other candidates is that we're not focused on them. We're focused on New Yorkers. New Yorkers deserve leadership that is thinking about how to benefit the people of the city. And too often politicians, be it Andrew Cuomo or Eric Adams, the meetings that they have or the phone calls with someone like Donald Trump, they're only speaking about themselves. It's time to actually think about New Yorkers.
So he is relatively unconcerned. Interesting response, too, from Hakeem Jeffries, which we didn't pull as an element, but I'll just read to you. He says, Eric Adams has served courageously and authentically for decades as a member of the NYPD, the New York State Senate, and Brooklyn Borough Hall, and as our 110th mayor. During his time in office, violent crime is down, the building of affordable housing units is up. New York City has recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. As is the case in any major city, there are challenges that remain, particularly as it relates to lowering the high cost of living. Yet it is clear that meaningful progress has been made in several important areas during the term of Mayor Adams. Thank you for your service to our city. Over the next few days, my entire focus will be on addressing the Republican healthcare crisis and funding the government. I will publicly weigh in with respect to the remaining candidates in the mayor's race well before the start of early voting. This is so insane to me on so many levels. First of all, there is a Democratic nominee. You are the Democratic leader in the House, and you still don't. Which of the remaining candidates should I choose? Like, are you serious? Second of all, this stuff he said about Eric Adams, way nicer than anything he's ever said about Zohran. And again, this man is so corrupt. Eric Adams, he was indicted. So many of his officials were either under investigation or themselves indicted or had to resign in disgrace. One of his supporters was just caught handing over a bag of cash and a potato chip bag to reporters, and this was apparently like common protocol. It is insane how corrupt this man was. And not only that, he appears very much, they basically came out and admitted, to have struck this corrupt deal with the Trump regime to get out of his indictment. And you say nothing about that, all just rainbows and puppies and flowers and sunshine about what a great mayor he's been. If he's been such a great mayor, why is he at single digits in polling? Why was he unable to even run in the Democratic primary? Why is he having to drop out in disgrace and be one of the only New York City mayors in history, I believe the second in all of New York City history, to fail to win re-election? Why? You have nothing to say about that. It's just actually insane. It's actually insane, and I can't begin to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, I find it very funny. They just won't admit what's right in front of their faces. Almost weirdly, never thought I would say it. Credit to Kamala. She was like, hey, he's a Democratic nominee, so whatever. It's one of those. This is where, the partisan loyalty only goes one way. It's obviously just because of Israel. I don't know. I don't get it. What do they have on these people? I'll never understand it. How can you be so just like militantly attached to, sacrifice your own personal political ambition just about the question of Israel? But listen, potentially what we're about to show you is part of it. Let's put this up here on the screen. From the ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt after Zohran, quote, "I'm absolutely blown away by the sheer brazen audacity of Zohran Mamdani telling all of us in the Jewish community who does and does not represent us, because Zohran said the ADL does not speak for New York Jews. We don't need anyone, a political candidate or any non-Jewish person to tell us who should speak for the Jewish people. Obviously, no marginalized group is monolith, but I am stunned by his arrogance in telling a minority community who should or should not speak to them. The vast majority of American Jews consider themselves Zionists and have strong ties to the state of Israel. Attending religious service at a synagogue known for anti-Zionist activities does not show that you understand the overwhelming majority of the New York City Jewish community." I love that part, because what he's saying at the end is actually that if you go to a synagogue which is not pro-Israel, then they're not real Jews.
That's right.
And that he's the real Jew.
Yeah.
You see you see the circular logic
Yeah.
that we're all doing here?
No, that's right. I mean, there is so much to say about this exchange, about the ADL. So he says that attending this service doesn't mean that you understand all Jews or that you can speak for Jews. Well, what does it say that he's winning a majority of Jewish voters in New York? What does that tell you about, between the two of you, who actually is responding more to the needs of Jewish voters in New York City? I mean, that's what's insane here. Like, Zohran is just factually correct at this point that the ADL does not speak for New York Jews. That is abundantly clear. It's clear in the way they vote. It's clear in what the polls say. Not to say that there aren't any Jews that support the ADL position. But the other piece that is so, I mean, it's not even ironic. It's almost intentional. No one has done more to actually stoke anti-Semitism than the ADL and other outfits like it that demand that all Jews be associated with the genocidal state of Israel. Yes, that is actually going to cause and is causing genuine anti-Semitism. I'm sure you've seen, we've been passing around some of these videos of him talking about what they're going to do and these extraordinary efforts they're going to take in order to make sure that they stamp out anti-Semitism, and it's on the rise and it's spiking, it's out of control. It's like, then shouldn't you resign? Like, isn't that your whole job, is to fight and combat anti-Semitism? Like, if anti-Semitism is up 3,000% or whatever nonsense numbers you've come up with, isn't that an indictment of your leadership? That happened on your watch. So, hey, you know, the proof is in the pudding here. And I don't think it's, like, obviously not fair to lay it all at Jonathan Greenblatt's feet, but when you insist
a lot of it is
on tying every Jewish person to the horrific acts of the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu and the genocidal state of Israel, yes, you are going to be stoking anti-Semitism, because people are going to look at that in horror, and you're insisting, oh no, every Jew is associated, every Jew supports this, every Jew wants this done. It's insane to me, completely insane.
Well, I mean, some would say maybe the ADL's entire point was to increase anti-Semitism at a certain point, because it's like they want it to go up so that they can fight back against it. I've always thought about that with the ACL or the Human Rights Campaign or any of these other people. Like, I remember thinking about them. And, you know, when gay marriage got legalized, they have this huge building here in DC. It's like, oh shit, now what do we do? And so, you know, they created all these new campaigns or whatever. You could say they're legitimate. I think most of them are bullshit. But my major point is, without the opposition, what do you do now? And actually, we saw the collapse of this in 2022, where a lot of the pro-life groups didn't come out to vote Republican because they're like, hey, we got what we wanted. You know, I've always thought about that with sometimes you need the issue to be live, and in some cases you want it to be worse in order to increase your funding and keep it circular.
Well, and even when you consider the ADL being so tied in with the state of Israel, Ryan was making this point, you know, nothing benefits Netanyahu and his political project and the state of Israel more broadly than when there is this sense of rising anti-Semitism around the world. Because it's, well, this is why we need the safe haven for Jews. And that has been true from the beginning, from before the founding of the state of Israel, in terms of, you know, even some early Zionists, like, they did not want the US and the UK to take in Jewish refugees because they thought that that would undermine the case that they were trying to make for this, you know, Jewish national project. So even on a bigger level outside of just like interest group politics, since he's so tied in with the state of Israel and the Zionist project is, you know, clearly an ideological like touchstone for him, like that's what drives all of his views, the sense that anti-Semitism is rising, he and Netanyahu feel benefits the state of Israel and creates more urgency around the project that they believe in.
That's right. All right, hey, we've got Ken Klippenstein standing by, so let's get to him. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.